shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker, and welcome to Shout Out from the Pit, where the host sucks and the guests are awesome. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm Bob, the host, and with me today is my partner. He's the brains of the show. You've heard me talk about him a million times. Give a shout out.
It's RedBeard, the nerd in the basement.
That's perfect. All right. So before we launch into our show, I want to let you know that we're always looking for folks to share their experience, strength, and hope. If you've overcome something and have a toolbox that can provide others with hope to overcome their challenges, let us know. Check out shoutoutfromthepit.com and briefly share your story under our contact tab. RedBeard and I will reach out to you for a chat and talk about doing a show. Also, we're going to be launching 1 Minute Epiphanies. I don't know what this is going to look like, but here's the gist. You know how you get these crazy ideas when you're like in the, on the trail or like in the shower or even during meditation or even during church worship, and you just want to shout it out from the mountaintop. All right. Well, you can do that with us in one or both of two ways. On the website, there's an unmonitored phone number. Leave your epiphany with us and RedBeard will work his magic. And keep in mind, it's got to be brief because you're going to get cut off. That's only like, I think you can only leave like a message like up to 2 minutes or something, Yeah. Hence the reason 1 Minute Epiphanies. Or you can leave your thoughts under the contact tab and one of us will read it on the show. Please remember to give us just your first name and what state or even country you're from. If you've done this and didn't get a response, well, I humbly admit that we had a glitch in the system. That was a host operator malfunction. Forgive me. That's not unnormal. We know that. Anyway, it's been repaired, so please give us a visit at the site once again. So be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with folks that could use some encouragement and extra tools for their recovery journey. And be sure to subscribe at shoutoutfromthepit.com for future episodes. It's for free and for fun. Okay, so we did a show with Ben Grimes. Of course, it's not an anonymous show, and you'll see why when you listen to the show. RedBeard and I talked about it before going in the show. We weren't really sure what to expect. And, of course, Pat was on that show.
Yes, Pat was there.
Pat the Marine. And you know what, man? We came out of there going like, whoa. There was so many cool things that came out of that in our dialogue. And, would you agree that we felt like we met a friend for life?
Yeah, I definitely want to go up and visit this town now.
Oh, that's right. He's in Paducah.
Yeah.
Paducah. Okay. And he's like the theater manager.
I think that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah.
I've slept since then.
Yeah, I have too. It's on the show.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll come out there. Right. Hey, so what's some things that stood out to you about Ben when we did the show? Or let's back up. What did you think going into this was going to happen?
I honestly didn't know what to expect. I've met plenty of theater people in the past, and a lot of times they're creative characters, so I didn't know what we were going to get out of Ben. And the fact that he had a military background too, so I don't know, a lot of what he ended up talking about in the story, I just didn't expect. He kind of blew me away a little bit, and the dude was incredibly humble.
Okay. I agree with you 100% going into it because of the brief stuff I knew about him, because I've never really had a chance to get to know the guy. And I think we talked about during the show, so I don't, want to parrot some of that, but actors are acting all the time. I've met celebrities in the past, and I kind of felt that they were guarded. I don't want to say they were, less than genuine, but they were guarded.
Yeah. Putting on a show.
I
didn't get any of that out of him.
No, he was, he was one of us. He's a vet, and he was a professional actor turned vet, go back into professional acting. And just, and why this guy's not in Hollywood, I think he said something to the effect he really wasn't looking at that direction. Didn't he say something like that?
I think so.
So it sounds like he loves what he does. And then the killer part, besides being just genuine and cool and the cover of GQ magazine, like a lot of our guests have been, and no offense to those of you that didn't qualify that. I don't. That's why RedBeard and I do audio only, right?
Yeah, of course.
But we are going to get our faces out there one day, but it's going to be caricatures, drawings. I think we talked about something like that. So thank God our wives have terrible eyesight. So I digress. But he, when he got into the reasons for working with vets and how he works with vets, how did that strike you when he went there?
I honestly didn't know how this correlated or why. And so, but everything he said just made sense.
I think what hit me was the same. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. You're doing Shakespeare with vets. I'm not. Hey, look, I can quote Shakespeare. What's one of his lines? And probably the only line I know. Night, night, good night. Saying good night is such sweet sorrow that I could say night until it be morrow. The only reason I learned that line from Romeo and Juliet because it was a great pickup line. All right. It didn't work with my wife, but it is a good pickup line. That's the only one I know. And, I've seen The Merchant of Venice and some other shows, but I'm not a big Shakespeare guy. So when he explains in the show what he does and why he does it, I think one of the things that I'm shooting from the hip here. You know how everybody has a niche, and some of them are hidden niches. Like, some guys deal with their trauma, their PTS, by doing auto mechanics, maybe picking up an instrument. Well, there's guys out there that find an interest in military in play, stage. And I never would have thought of that, but it worked for him. And, it obviously it's a niche for a lot of vets.
Right. And now I was thinking it was going to be just an outlet, just something to do, to have a purpose. But it went a lot deeper in there. It was the rhythmic patterns behind Shakespeare. It was the psychology of that, the kind of the beats per, that it's right in line with the box breathing, circle breathing exercises.
Oh, right.
And then once he started talking about that, it just clicked. I was like, oh no, this is an actual form of therapy. It's not just a hobby.
Right. Do you remember when he brought that up? I looked over at you.
Yeah.
Because you had shared, I missed that opportunity, but you actually went through something similar to that. And I was like, where have I heard? And then I looked at you and I was like, that's because you told me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, I have been using it because another friend of ours, Tony, that's been on the show, he told me the same thing. And so I thought, well, these are two friends of mine that obviously find success in it. So I'll try it out. And, there's something crazy about it. It works.
Yeah, we might have to do an experiment. I got an EEG that we could use. I just need to rig it up. We do it. We'll have to record that section.
You just remind me of the, I don't know if it is a joke, but where you want to experience what your wife's going through with pregnancy. We're going to hook you up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the TINS machine.
The TINS machine, right. Crank it up. No! Okay. All right. So any other thoughts?
No, this is a worthwhile listen to. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And keep in mind that we agreed a long time ago that we are raw and uncensored. We don't really edit the show, so you can hear that, there's real things that happen. Danny is laying here at our feet right now because he's freaked out by the storms. But we've got the recording equipment up high so he can't knock it over because he gets real curious, wants to walk around and hug everybody. So, but, and we find that there's value in that because, you kind of get to hear stuff that, we're not, I don't know, what's the word for that when you say you're raw and uncensored and you're just genuine,
We're not overproduced.
Yeah, we're not overproduced, right? I don't know. Hey, listen, so I'm belaboring this. So listen, you guys, you never know what's going to come out of this show, man. And we, like RedBeard said, I love the show. I hope you guys enjoy it. And with that, take a listen. Hey, shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker coming at you raw and uncensored. And as always, only God knows what's going to happen on this show. Welcome to Shout Out from the Pit, where we bring stories and topics designed to add to your toolbox as you trudge the road to happy destiny. Joining us today are return tribe members, Pat, the Soul Marine today. Pat.
Good afternoon.
And RedBeard, obviously the brains and producer behind Shout Out from the Pit, and also an Army vet.
Hey there.
Yeah, you guys are killing today. And our esteemed guest today, Ben Grimes. Shout out.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
And the crowd screams. Women, keep the clothes on. All right, listen, I appreciate, and I'm definitely grateful for y'all coming on the show today. And Ben, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this show for a couple of years. So
Awesome.
This is going to be good. You've got a great message, brother.
Thanks,
Got
man.
a great.
Yeah. Honored to be here.
Cool. So usually our guests are anonymous, but as you clearly see, in our pre-show chat, I chatted with Ben for a minute, and his experience with post-traumatic stress and how he's dealt with it, and how he helps other vets deal with PTS. His contact information is going to be available, so it's a little hard to be anonymous when you're pretty transparent like that, and you're telling people, "Hey, I'm here to help you." So that's a huge shout out to you, brother.
Thanks, man.
All right, so before we get started, little icebreaker. Anybody know what today is?
The Army's birthday.
The Army's
right.
birthday.
250 years old.
All right. There's another significant event today. It's not my birthday, so.
No.
June 14th, 1777, Congress finally settled on the stars and stripes for the American flag that we actually have today. And it's only been modified several times afterwards as we added states. But the actual layout and what you see is what they settled on. So it's Flag Day.
Mm-hmm.
This is also one of those days, if you have old, decrepit flags, and I'm just saying this for the audience too, this is the day when you ceremoniously or unceremoniously, go somewhere in a private area, make a good, strong fire, and burn your flag in private, as respect to the flag that's been worn and torn and tattered. So shameless plug for the flag. All right, listen, attention orders. Just kidding. I know you guys have heard that enough. I'm going to read
triggering.
I almost broke the mic.
Caught to attention.
Sorry, man. I actually thought about that over and over again. I said, I'm going to do it. All right. So I'm going to clear my throat and do this little, try to be professional here, because this is actually pretty cool. All right. Thanks, Dr. Pepper. Shameless plug. Someday you people at Dr. Pepper need to sponsor us. We have a huge, I've got a Dr. Pepper machine here, old school. I've got this fantastic antique mosaic Dr. Pepper. So anybody out there knows Dr. Pepper, tell them they need to sponsor this show, because I give them shameless plugs all the time. Ben is a multifaceted theater artist, administrator, and educator. He earned his BFA. Is that Bachelor in Fine Arts?
That is it.
Okay, cool. In acting from the Conservatory of Theater Arts at Webster University, and began his career as a professional actor, performing in regional theater productions across the country and in New York City. Mm-hmm. Boom. Sorry, I need to be pro here. After more than a decade on stage, feeling disconnected and lost, Ben made the life-altering decision to join the U.S. Army in 2006. He served as an airborne infantryman in the 82nd Airborne, deploying to Baghdad, Iraq, and again in 2017. God bless you, Ben. Thank you for that.
Right.
Following his final deployment, Ben turned to theater as a means of healing from combat stress. He discovered a deeper connection to his craft and found that working in an ensemble helped alleviate feelings of isolation and depression. These realizations led him to pursue a master's in public service from the Clinton School of Public Service, where his research explored theater as a vehicle for social impact. Inspired by his studies, Ben founded Riverside Actors Theatre, a company dedicated to using theater and storytelling to address trauma and the challenges faced by veterans and other at-risk populations. He has held artistic and administrative leadership roles in theater companies in Chicago, New York, and Little Rock, earning recognition as both a director and actor from Broadway World and the Arkansas Times. A sought-after teacher and facilitator, Ben is committed to fostering creative communities that empower and uplift. In 2023, Ben was honored as an inaugural Catalyze, is it Catalyze?
Catalyze, yep.
Okay, fellowship. I got a GED, so you got to bear with me. Awardee by the Mid-America Arts Alliance and Wingate Foundation. Wow, that is well written. And I didn't write it. That is well written.
ChatGPT does wonderful things. I'll tell you.
That's a teenager's go-to today. Yeah. We're gonna bounce around a little bit and actually come back to the third paragraph on Riverside Actor Theatre. But dude, I have bust that TV and my wife will bust my head. Or sorry. I've got a lot of questions, man. Yeah. Okay, so I've already shared this with Pat and RedBeard earlier. but I got to say this on the air. First of all, shout out to my sister-in-law, Heather. As you know her, Heather, I know her as Misty. She's a fantastic actress. Well, she had told me, you got to go see this guy. And so I went, and interestingly enough, my primary care provider was there. His wife was there. She's involved in theater. And so we were chatting it up, and then the show started. And man, it didn't just start. Your energy, dude, is amazing. I don't know how you do it.
Thanks,
I've got
man.
a lot of questions about that.
Thanks, man.
So you come out. So if it was Death of Kings?
Death of Kings, yeah.
Death of Kings. I know I'm right about this, but I got to say it anyway. You wrote it, you produced it, you directed it, and you acted it.
That's right.
It's a one-man show.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm off script. How the hell do you memorize? I wanted to do a Google to find out what the longest monologue ever was.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know if it's out there. Yours has got to be up there. But the way that you've got to change characters so fast. Yeah. And how do you do that? First of all, first question, how do you memorize it?
So, well, it's easy with that because it's my own story. So there are chunks. What the script really is it's chunks of Shakespeare's text. So Death of Kings is actually a monologue from Richard II. And I used pieces of Shakespeare's text interspersed with my own story to kind of add flavor and to change back and forth between myself and different characters as I told my journey from, starting in acting and then getting my deployments and all of that. And so, it was my best friend, who's also named Ben, helped me as an outside eye watching and helping me make sure that I wasn't making a fool of myself. And so we, when we were in rehearsal, he was like, "Look, man, it's your story. Like, if you forget a line, ain't nobody gonna know, right?"
Good point.
So yeah, I mean, it helps when it's your own stuff. But then, the Shakespeare, it's Shakespeare's, I think, easier to memorize because there's a rhythm to it. It's written in iambic pentameter, so de-dum, 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 de-dum. Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more. It's like almost like music, so it's easier to memorize it than it would be for me than it would be a modern script. Where you've got a bunch of uhs and, incomplete sentences and things like that.
Interesting. A little bit more off script. Have you ever heard of Thurber's Carnival?
No.
James Thurber?
Okay, I know that the name should ring a bell, but I'm not recalling.
Okay, well, I did a little stage.
Okay.
All right, I suck. That's why I'm not in it now.
Oh,
but I had to memorize a 6-page monologue called The Night the Bed Fell on My Father.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and this is I'm actually going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
This isn't about me, it's about you. But our opening show, there was a lady that was like right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And they brought in these people from like a physical assisted elderly home. Mm-hmm. Her head looked like God had lifted her head off her shoulders and then turned it and then laid it back on her shoulders. And I was distracted. Uh-huh. And I completely lost where I was. I didn't know where I was. I just started rambling. All right. I don't want to talk anymore about that. Yeah. My question is, how do you not get distracted when you got all these people there?
Yeah. I mean, well, I've been doing this I think I did my first profession. I got paid to act my first time when I was 17 years old. So, and I'm, I'm pushing 50 now. So I've been doing it for a minute.
You're pushing 50?
Yeah.
You're a handsome fella for 49?
Well, thanks, brother. I'll pay you later.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, hey, nobody here is going to deny you're the cover of GQ magazine. I've had other guests on the show like that. Okay, so you're a handsome fella.
Thanks,
and just, Mrs. Grimes, please. I'm married. We need to move along. So anyway, so what happened?
Yeah. So, I mean, like it helps to have that experience and be on stage and feel comfortable. This was unusual because typically I have a character to hide behind. I have a character that I'm portraying, and I've researched and I'm working through, a mask. Really, I'm kind of hiding behind that character, and so I'm embodying it. But I can always just go, oh well, that was the character, that wasn't me. this story, Death of Kings, is my story. And so I can't hide behind it. And that was a little unique. It was very naked feeling. It was kind of like, okay, I'm going to walk out and drop my robe, and kind of do this thing. But it was very rewarding also. It was very, very fulfilling to put myself out there and to be met with, positive feedback and people saying, thank you so much. So that was great.
Oh, no, I was there. That place, it was standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a people watcher. We've heard this before. I'm watching the audience watch you. I want to watch you too, but I'm really curious. I'm like a little kid.
Yeah.
And there was all these people standing there. I can't remember the name of the venue. What was the name of the venue?
It was the Innovation Hub down in North Little Rock.
And you got this big picture, not picturesque. It's those huge like glass windows that are facing the street, and all these people watching.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how in the heck is he not distracted? And when dude, when you came out and you started your monologue, it's just like, how you listen to a song and it starts off, just kind of there, and then it just bam in your face when the sound effects went off and the lights went off and you were passionate.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel whatever you wanted us to feel. I felt. I was there, and I was like, holy smokes, this guy is good. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, what I wanted to do, Death of Kings, I think is like, I say it's the story of the modern veteran, but I think it's the story of every veteran. One of the things that I found in my travels and meeting all, just like now, we all have kind of a common thread, a common bond. And so I just wanted to tell my story, and all of us, whether you've been deployed or not, you have that moment where you're on the bus, you're getting ready to get off, and get on basic training. And all of a sudden the drill sergeants are all going to just annihilate you. Right. And that fear that you have and that trepidation, we've all experienced that. And so I wanted to kind of give that it's due, but also give someone who hasn't experienced that a little peek into why we are the way we are. So
That's good.
Yeah.
No, okay. Because a lot of those people aren't vets. They don't identify.
Right.
That community that you mesh so well with, if you don't mind me asking, because I am curious, how did you get into that community? Because those aren't vets. They're kind of like, honest to God, you were an anomaly. I've watched a lot of shows, and you were an absolute anomaly. How did you break into that community?
So here's my thing. You read my bio. I started out as an actor. I started out in theater, and then I went into the Army. And that tells you how well my acting career was going as I joined the Army. It was really, I had all these movies and I was like, you know what? I can't do that. I got to go down to Fort Benning and crawl in some mud. That's what I really need to do. But when I was in the barracks room at Bragg or Benning or wherever, I would sit and listen to conversations, and I was older. I was 30 years old when I enlisted. And I was, so I'm around with a bunch of 17, 18-year-old dudes. But I would listen to these conversations, and they were conversations, maybe the different topics, but they were basically the same style of conversation that I would hear backstage in theaters. Because those communities, while they seem so different, are actually really, really similar. They believe in service to something greater than yourself. They believe in a ensemble or brotherhood, right? They believe in sacrifice. And so I was like, man, there's a lot that these two communities could learn from each other. And so that's what, when I came back to the theater, I was like, you know what? I want to try to explore this. I want to see what becomes of this, because they couldn't be more, different, on the surface. Yeah.
Wow. That I see you as a bridging mechanism. Definitely. Pat, RedBeard, thoughts?
So
you're gonna have to come to the mic.
You did theater in high school?
I did. Yeah.
At Parkview?
At Parkview. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I know they always had a really big theater program.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a bad kid. I mean, I was, skipping school, smoking cigarettes, chasing girls.
Wait a minute. Why does that make you bad?
Right. The man said I was bad. But I failed ninth grade because I didn't go. And they don't like to pass you when you don't go. And my parents, said, look, we'll send you to Parkview because at the time I was playing guitar and I want to be a rock and roll star. And my dad was like, look, man, if I send you to this school with music, will you just go? And I said, yeah, all right, fine. So go to Parkview, and I noticed that there were all the pretty girls over in the theater club, and I was like, hey, let me go to where the pretty girls are. and I found out that I really loved it and started doing it. But
wow, okay.
I don't really have a question because he's going to get into what I would ask.
Yeah.
Just connecting the, I think you already said it. Things weren't going well, so you joined the Army.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
my story too.
Yeah.
I joined the Marine Corps because I had nothing going
That's
on.
right. That's right.
So I'm fascinated, and I'm ready for you to get into it.
It's funny. It's funny because I was so idealistic. When I joined, it was during it was 2006, right? So Iraq was going, Afghanistan was going. I was like, man, I'm going to be serving with some of the best and brightest of this nation. And I showed up to basic training, and there were like 17-year-old kids and guys that were like, well, it was jail or this, and I was like, oh shit, what did I get myself into?
1981, I was in the judge's chambers with my dad.
Yeah.
He said, your friends are going to jail.
Yeah.
You have a choice. I said, what does that mean? He goes, raise your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's how and then next thing you know, I'm at Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a lot in common there. I have actually met people that joined the Army and weren't in trouble.
Yeah.
I
I wasn't in trouble. I mean, like my recruiter was like, what are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yeah. I mean, he was like, man, you're 30 years old, I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were 30.
Yeah.
You didn't need a waiver like me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No.
All right. I was off script with another question. So you were an actor, then you obviously went in the military.
Mm-hmm.
When you got out of the military, because you're a combat vet, your situational awareness, I know there's better terms for this, and you might be able to fill in the blanks for me, Ben,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something about like acting. I remember you got to kind of be aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I unfortunately get distracted by what's going on, hence the lady, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that your military service, and especially your combat background with your situational awareness being at its absolute heightened, has that helped you as become a better actor?
I think it has. I think every actor has a third eye, right? So an actor has, when you're on stage, you're in the scene, and good acting, what we're all striving to be, is like embodied in the character. Like we forget who we are and we're just in it, we're just going at it. But you have a third eye that's watching and and it's like a ticker that's going, oh, that moment was good, or oh, that sucked, oh, that lady's cell phone just went off. What, WTF. So you're kind of watching, but also focused on the scene that you're in. And so that only got better because that's what you do. Like if you're watching your sector, right, but you're also listening to the radio, you've got about 5,000 things that you're kind of tapped into as a Joe, running a mission, so, they got even more, when I was an officer, and trying to, maneuver squads and stuff. It was like, oh man, writing stuff on the Humvee screen. Yeah. I think it helped. I haven't really thought about it, but I think it definitely helps to, my multitasking brain.
And I also off script. So, since you were able to get 8 hours of sleep every night as a soldier, right?
Yeah.
And of course, meals are always catered.
Oh, always. 5-star.
Coming back into theater and knowing how to work long hours on basically Snickers and Dr. Pepper or whatever your drug of choice is there.
Right.
Did that help too?
It did.
It
did. I mean, actors' lives are hard. People talk about how I eat so fast. I eat really fast, but I actually started eating fast before the Army. I mean, the Army helped, but I ate fast because I used to wait tables and bartend. And so I would get 30 minutes to like shove down something that somebody sent back because it was wrong, and I would shove that down my throat and then get back and work another 5-6 hours behind the bar until, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And then get up and do an audition. And I mean, actors' lives are hard. I mean, it's a really, really hard, especially in New York. It's a really hard way to make a living, right? And but I think the discipline and the tenacity that you gain in the military, going through some of those, the struggles that we all face, definitely makes you more appreciative, and you get some stamina. You've been through it, so it's kind of like, it's fine. I'll sleep when I sleep.
Yeah, good answer. I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you guys jump in anytime.
I just don't know how your outline is structured, so I'm just gonna jump in and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
What other productions have you been involved?
So I am. I'm not much of a film actor. I've done a couple films. They're really bad. I did like a Lifetime film. I think it was Lifetime. It was one of those type film. It was called Fighting for Her Family, and I played a doctor, and it was really bad.
Did you have a speaking line in it?
Oh yeah.
So you got paid.
Oh yeah. You can go on the YouTubes and find me.
So do you have a SAG card now?
I have a SAG card.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now that SAG means Screen Actors
Guild.
Okay.
Yep. So I've done some films, but I'm predominantly a stage actor. That's what I was trained in. My specialty is I think Shakespeare. I really love Shakespeare. I'm passionate about it. Heather and I did Shakespeare when I was like 19 years old. That's when I first met Heather.
Really?
Yeah. We did Shakespeare when I was very, very young. When she first got married, that's when I first met her. But yeah, so I think my specialty is Shakespeare. I've done some musicals, but I really love good meaty characters, good meaty dramas.
Wow. I can't be around Heather without wanting to get on one knee, because every show I've seen her in, she is just freaking amazing.
She's an amazing actress.
I don't...
it always has been. I mean, she played... We were doing Much Ado About Nothing, and she was playing Beatrice in that. And she was phenomenal.
I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
And her voice is amazing.
Yeah. She got a rocking voice.
I just love her to death. Mm-hmm. I mean, every time I'm around her, I got nothing to say. I just like listen to her. I'm like, wow. And I can't remember the name of the show. She played Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think she got an award for that. I'm not sure.
She probably did. Yeah.
That was again. Mesmerized.
Yeah.
How you people do that? Because look, I don't mind being a stagehand, or I was an extra in a movie that I will never tell anybody about. No, it wasn't porno, but it was so bad, and was a lot of A-list actors on it, but it was so bad that we actually I had a speaking line in it. I was an extra. Mm-hmm. And we had a bunch of, this is back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So we had a bunch of 90s, had a bunch of people at the house to watch this. We got a hold of the movie. Nobody had anything to say. When the movie was over, we just kind of like quietly slipped away. It was that bad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. No, I'm not even going to tell you the name of it.
See if I can find the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the research begin.
I ain't saying nothing. So, just curious though, other thousands of questions, and you guys can jump in anytime. How did you go from Little Rock to New York? I mean, that's not just like, I'm going to go get a job and everything's going to be cool. How in the world did you know somebody?
Man, I bumped around. So I graduated. I went to college in St. Louis, and that's where Webster is. I graduated in college there. I was dating a ballet dancer. I have to make that qualification. She's a ballet dancer.
I bet she was always on her toes.
She was, yeah. So I was dating her, and she got hired at a dance company in Chicago. And I was doing a little dancing as well. So we moved to Chicago together, and that relationship crumbled. And so then I left Chicago, went down to Texas. I lived in Austin, Texas for about 4 years. About 4 years. And I used Austin as my kind of base of operations. My parents were there. So I would go and I'd work in Houston. I'd work in Galveston. I'd work in, all these little towns, Dallas, all these towns that were around Austin. And then finally my buddy called me up and said, hey man, starting a theater company in New York. I've got an apartment in Brooklyn. Come on. So I said, all right, cool. Packed the car up, and drove up to New York, sold the car and began the New York thing.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite New York memories?
It's funny actually driving, like getting a cab at like 3:00 in the morning after a shift and like going over the Brooklyn Bridge and like, looking at the city. It was amazing. Amazing. I was always like, I can't believe I live here. This is just, cause you go visit or something, but I live here.
Wow. Yeah. Pat and I and a couple other guys went there. We're just doing a road trip, guide trip, right?
Yeah.
So we're walking and we just cannot find the Empire State Building. It's driving us nuts. So this lady's like coming at me, we're walking down the street. I said, ma'am, can you point us in the direction of the Empire State Building? Mm-hmm. And she's got this gracious face, it's just like, I feel for you. Mm-hmm. You're obviously not from here, and probably your IQ's probably shorter than my bra size. So
right.
Why don't you just turn around? And we turn around and there it is.
Yeah. It's pretty big. It's kind of there.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Ground Zero?
I have. So I used to work in the financial district.
Oh. Was that on Brooklyn Battery Parkway? Or?
It was. I was on John Street, down in the financial, and I would go down there every day. And it was before they had opened up the Freedom Tower. They were still doing the construction and stuff. And matter of fact, when I lived there, they found DNA or something of people on buildings close to there. Like it was spooky. It was even then, this is 05, 06, and it was like, there's a weight down there,
Wow. Yeah. We went down below, right where the remnants were. Mm-hmm. I think all of us were, in fact, Pat and I broke away and really got schooled by that security guard. Mm. We were smoking in an area we weren't supposed to be in.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And the guy was really cool. He's like, he walked us and then he just started chatting with us. We told him we're both vets and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was, he's a security guard now, but he was a police officer and he was one of the guys that had to tell the children, your parents aren't coming home.
Jesus. And
that just rocked my world because I never even thought of that.
Yeah. So it was wild. I used to work at a place called the Cajun. It was in like Midtown. Well, Chelsea is the name of the neighborhood. And it was like 14th and 8th Avenue or somewhere around there. Anyway, we would have parties come in and they would like book the restaurant and everything. And this party comes in and it was the service dogs that all were searching for people. It was that whole group had a reunion and all these dogs were like, it's 06, so they're all starting to get older, and like some of them had died and stuff. And I was just like, man, I'll work that for free, So
wow.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
Wow. Do you got a favorite restaurant in New York?
Man, there's a lot of really great restaurants in New York. I don't even know the name. It's been so long. There's a Thai place I used to always go to that I still dream about. It was so damn good.
Okay, I'm just curious. Is this Thai place like a hole in the wall?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, my wife and I went there several times. And we were there for a week, and we ate most of our meals at that place. The other place we loved was Patsy's. Did you ever go to Patsy's? I think it's on 42nd.
So.
I'm not even sure. Okay, yeah. My senior is showing.
Right,
okay.
Right.
Way off script. Sorry, guys. Anything you want to get us back on? All right, so I've always wanted to know this. I probably could have Googled it, but I'm just going to ask a professional here.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the ER and the RE in theater?
So the ER is the building. That's a theater, right? So if you go to a movie theater, it's going to be spelled ER. Theater, RE, is the act.
Wow. Did you guys know that? Oh, good.
I've heard it before, but I had no clue.
Wow.
You could ask me in a week and I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
I always thought it was misspelling.
And there'll be people that will fight me about that, but that's the way I've always understood it to be. I've understood it as ER is the building, RE is the act.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. All right. Way off script. So I still want to ask these, even though we've lost a lot of time, I hope, because I know you've got a lot on your plate, so I'm just trying to cut to it. But do you have an actor that inspires you? Somebody that if you could meet any actor in the world, who would it be?
Yeah. I mean, I love Daniel Day-Lewis is a freaking genius, man. That dude is like next level. Anthony Hopkins, phenomenal actor. I love actors that are chameleons. I love actors that just disappear into the role. You know, Heath Ledger, another one. They they just completely disappear. Yeah, chameleons.
Yeah, like Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a hell of a diver, you know.
I love that guy. I love Jason Statham, but I'm with you on the other actors too. But if a Jason Statham movie's coming out, I got to be there. Yeah. All right. So, favorite movie and why?
I always go back to this one. I love The Usual Suspects. I think The Usual Suspects is a great film, and it's a great study in acting because if you watch, you know, Kevin Spacey turned out to have some issues, but he's a good actor. If you watch the stuff that he does in that very first scene where they bring him into the police station and they're asking him questions, and there's this kind of long camera pan, right? And he's sitting there and he's just kind of looking around the room, and he's kind of, you know, the camera goes from his eyes to the objects that he's looking at. And what you realize is he is spoiler alert, he is coming up with the lie on the spot. Once you find out who he is and what he's doing there, you realize, oh shit, that guy is like literally coming up with the lie right now. And you don't catch it the first time you watch it. So like, I just think it's a really well done movie, well acted, well told.
Okay, I just put that on my list. I haven't seen that movie. Well, it's an old movie, but I have to catch up with it. Okay. All right. So, just on a personal side, you've already mentioned. I don't know now. I can't remember if we've already talked about. You mentioned at the table that you are married.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind? Yes. Do you want to tell us again? That's a great story. I'm sorry. Was she mind?
No.
Oh, tell us how you met.
Well, we met. So my wife and I. So funny thing. So we met in New York in 05 or 06. In New York, it's like one of those things when you're from Arkansas. We kind of all find each other in the city, right? You know, it's like you spot a Razorback shirt and you're like, hey, where are you from? And so anyway, a friend of ours, Ashley Atkinson, who's a very successful actress now. She's on the Gilded Age and has done a bunch of stuff. Ashley had a birthday, and so we were all meeting to go to Ashley's birthday. And I go to this bar, and this girl, Laura, is there, and she's like touring the town to move up there. And people are like, hey, you guys should meet, you know, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, what's up? Don't like, not interested at all in each other. So fast forward, I join the Army, I do all my things. I come back, I'm the best man in a wedding for my best friend, and Laura was a bridesmaid in the wedding. And we did what people do when you meet at weddings. And we dated for about 3 months and got engaged, and we got married.
And you got married out of love.
Got married out of love. Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. And we're still married, you know?
And love in how many dollar signs?
Right. Well, you know, BAH, when you're married, the Army will pay you more. So I figured that out and went, hey, let's go get hitched.
when during my in processing, the Chief Fritz has passed away, but he's a great guy. And he said, are you married? That New York guy, are you married? And I said, no. He goes, too bad. I go, why do you say that? He goes, it's $300 more a month. I said, hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that. Cause it was in the 80s, man. I was like, yeah, $300. That's a lot of dough. Okay.
Well, funny thing is, so my home of record, cause I was going into OCS and all this other stuff. My home of record was New York, and I was getting BAH for New York.
Oh,
so you want to talk about money?
Yeah, man.
because I was getting paid as an E5 married with New York BAH. I was
sweet.
Just, man, I was like, drinks are on me, boys. Let's go.
And now you have 2 children.
I do. We have 2 children.
And what are their ages?
7 and 12.
Okay, so mom and dad are both engaged in theater. You guys have done shows together. You mentioned.
Yeah.
Are the kids like? Do you see them following your footsteps at all?
My son has no interest. Well, he likes backstage stuff. He's very shy. He doesn't want to be on stage. He just not interested. My daughter, she's already dancing and wants to be a princess and the things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay. All right. So we have answered a lot of these questions already.
Let me ask one. Bob.
Yes, please.
So there's quite a few actors around this area.
Yeah.
Joey Lauren Adams, and Wes Bentley. Did you know any of them?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I never knew Wes. My wife did a show with Wes when he was like a kid. I think she did Oliver at Murray's Dinner Playhouse with Wes. Yeah. I've never met him. But Joey, weirdly, my high school girlfriend, her older brother was dating Joey Lauren Adams' best friend. And so I was in high school and Joey was doing like Mallrats at the time and stuff. And she would come back in and she was like, ooh, big Hollywood star, And so, I would we'd sit out in the back and smoke cigarettes together, on the back porch. Cool. And then years later, I saw her in Austin and like at a random event and like walked up and was like, hey, Joey. And she had no idea who I was. So it's like, all right, cool. Yeah.
I've met a lot of famous actors too. Did I tell you that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I used to do the color guard for the Army.
There you go.
And Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So these actors would come by and, and they did talk to us, but we're in the Army, of course. You're holding an M16 or I'm sorry, M1 or one of the New York flag or the state flag. You can't talk to them. You're supposed to like stand at parade rest kind of. And this one dude went by and he's one of my favorite actors from when I was a kid. And I was looking around to see who saw me and I couldn't think of his name. I was like, finally he was almost out of shot. And I go, Columbo. And he turns around and he gives me that, that fake eye look. And I was like, Peter Falk. Would you come sign my forehead? Do you have a marker or something? But I met like
awesome.
Billy Crystal, Billy Joel.
Nice.
But they wouldn't know me from Adam. Really.
Right. Yeah.
But the one guy that I'll never forget was Jesse Jackson.
Oh, wow.
That dude is a giant. You see him on TV and whatever. But he's coming by and he's really laid back. He's slapping hands with the guys. And I'm like, this is not protocol, but what do you do?
Right.
I'm like, hi, Mr. Jackson. I'm 5'8". Wow. That dude is a giant. I was like, hey, Mr. Jackson.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I way digress. But I will tell you, oh my gosh, he did a Southern Comfort. This is before most of you guys were born. Powers Booth and Keith. I wish I could remember his name. Carradine.
Oh,
So he was singing the national anthem. I'm hollering commands that night, right? And we got 20,000 screaming fans. You got the Knicks playing the Bulls.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, order, so they can hear me.
Yeah.
And then it's just like as everybody goes quiet, I don't know, it was just bizarre. 20,000 screaming fans just go quiet as I go, I'm screaming to the top of my lungs. There's no noise. And Carradine turns around and goes, you could have been an opera singer. I was like, hey, okay.
Thanks, man.
All right, off script. Okay, so, okay, you know what? This might be a good time for us to go on break because when we come back, I really want to get into your projects with vets.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, are we cool? All right, shout out, folks. It's Bob, the old rucker. We're back. Thanks for your patience. Man, I'll tell you, this is the pre-show chat and then coming together today for lunch before we started, just talking about what we were going to do on the show today. And then just this little break. Ben, again, you have a good heart. You're a good man.
Thanks,
and,
man.
I really wanted you on the show because of what I heard that you do with vets. And that was what really attracted. All this other stuff we do is just man jam stuff because you're a funny dude. You've got an amazing story and we're just a bunch of curious kids wanting to know what you did. So thanks for sharing all that with us.
Well, thank you.
Let's transition now into you had shared with me and also in your bio that when you you got out of the Army. Of course, you're a combat vet. We already talked about the Death of Kings, which was absolutely amazing. But that was one of the ways that you dealt with post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
All right. And I need to just say this for the listening audience. Yeah. Don't confuse PTS with PTSD. A disorder is something that really jacks a guy up or a lady. And they can be a civilian, they can be military or whatever, but they really need serious, serious help. Mm-hmm. And that's disorder. Mm-hmm. Many of us have what we call PTS, and we've gone through programs to help us, with our toolbox and what have you. Yep. So you're actually one of them. Yep. So you've discovered that, hey, mm-hmm. yeah, I identify. I got PTS. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to hide from it. The stage really helps me as an outlet. Mm-hmm. But you took it a step further, mm-hmm. and that's why I wanted you on the show, because I was really amazed when I heard this, and I'd never heard anything like this before. Yeah. Tell us how you got into the Riverside Actors and what you did with vets and other people at risk for PTS. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about it, because it's a big passion of mine. So I kind of have to go back to my story to kind of frame this a little bit, right? So when I got back from my last deployment, I had a lot of the common issues of PTS, right? I just had a lot of anxiety and depression, and I was just really struggling. And my wife is the one who actually said, Ben, why don't you need to go audition for a show. I had not been doing any theater, and I thought, I thought that was past. That's over. I'm doing this Army thing now. And so I just said, okay, what the hell? It can't hurt, So I went and I did a show, and it wasn't like it was like a light bulb moment. It was, I had a good time and I felt good. And I said, this is pretty cool. I'm going to do another one. And I did another one, and I did another one. And then about a year after doing a series of shows and kind of getting back into the community, I just kind of was sitting journaling one day. And I thought, man, I feel so much better. I feel like something is working here. And so I started kind of thinking, I started asking myself, kind of inventorying, what am I doing? What has changed? And I went, well, shit, it's the theater. I feel like I belong here, and I feel like I'm part of this community. And like I talked about, earlier when, I was already identifying that these two communities could learn something from each other. And so I started thinking, well, maybe there's something to this. And so I started doing some research and looking at, theater for veterans, theater about, veteran themes and things. And as I turned to the Google, I started to find theater companies and fellow combat veterans that were doing this kind of work. And so I was like, yep, I want to study this. I want to learn more about this. And so then I started pursuing going to Clinton School and really studying it. And it is a growing field of research, but actually there's a quote, theater is a gym for empathy, right? And because in order to understand a story, you've got to empathize with that character. You've got to put yourself in their shoes and kind of look and go, well, what would I do if I were in that? How would I behave if if this happened to me? So it really is this kind of like, it's like going and doing curls for your empathy muscle, right? And so
curls for your empathy muscle.
So I think, I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I think that it opened me up to being able to use theater, because I've always loved being a storyteller. I've always loved being able to play these different characters and show different sides of myself. But it was not about me anymore. It was about other people, and so that's what really I thought was really interesting and fun.
Okay, so Ben, you had a civilian job. You got a family. Yeah. You got to make ends meet, and you're. I get maybe at that time, theater was more of a hobby. It's a career now. Mm-hmm. You're in it to win it. Yeah. But how in the world, balancing all of that stuff, did you crack the ice and start working with vets? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I basically, at my time at the Clinton School, what I did is I studied these kind of programs. So there's a really great program. I would definitely highly recommend it. Shameless plug here. There's a company called Decruit by Stefan Wolfert, fellow Army infantryman. He does a lot of the same stuff, but he is actually partnered with clinical researchers, and they do work with veterans. They do an 8-week course where they expose them to Shakespeare, kind of a group therapy thing, right? And at the end of the 8 weeks, they've done brain scans, and at the beginning of the course, they have a trauma brain. If you're familiar with the Body Keeps Score, our brains, when we're in a traumatic incident, will become stuck in this kind of fight or flight survival mode. Well, what happens is you can't be in that fight or flight brain, trauma brain, and understand Shakespeare. So when Shakespeare and poetry is given to you kind of like a pill, it will slowly and gently lull you out of that trauma brain. And so what they do at the end of the 8 weeks, these scans, you actually see a healthier, more better functioning brain. It's wild, dude. It is some crazy shit, but but it works, man.
I saw this on a slideshow. Was that?
Yeah, that was at Death of Kings. Yeah. I talk about that in Death of Kings.
Holy cow, that's right.
So, and what I had inadvertently stumbled upon was that I was stumbling upon the fact that my brain was kind of stuck. My brain was kind of in this, hyper alert, survival, brain, and being exposed to theater, going to that gym, doing those empathy curls. My brain had kind of became more healthy. And so that's what it was. That's what the thing was. And so that empowered me to, I was like, I got to go share this. I got to go get out and share this with whoever, because, like we say, veterans don't got a lock on trauma, right? I mean, everybody experiences trauma. So, and I believe almost every single, quote unquote, bad thing in society can be rooted back to trauma, can be rooted back to some kind of traumatic incident that happened to a person in order, that led them to substance abuse, to homelessness, to all the things, incarceration, whatever it is. You can link that back to trauma every single time. And so I just think that it's really important work. And like I said, it's a subtle, gentle way. It's not, we're not sitting around, talking about therapy or anything. We're just doing some Shakespeare, man.
That's insane.
So it sounded like you were employing mindful meditation.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm.
And then did you try other things?
Yeah. So, one of the great things about Shakespeare is you have to breathe different in order to speak Shakespeare. And so you end up doing some kind of breath work. I use circle breathing a lot. I actually learned circle breathing in sniper school. Right.
Demonstrator post.
Yeah. So
see it.
So circle breathing, right? So I breathe in for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold it for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I exhale for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold it for a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually box breathing. I say circle box.
You told me about that.
Yeah. It was in that yoga for first responders course.
Yep. So I use that. I first learned that in sniper school to calm my heart rate down when I was making a long shot. And it's a way to control your heart rate. And so we use box breathing, but also so you have a line of text, right? But soft, what light through yonder window breaks, it is the east, and Juliet is the sun, right? Big, long line of text. So you take a breath, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks, it is the east, and Juliet is the sun, right? So in the lines, Shakespeare's kind of telling you where to breathe. And it's not natural, but it also calms our heart because it gets us off of like, oh God, somebody's going to get me, right? That trauma brain, right? So in that alert, constant hyper alertness. So
that rhythmic pattern to the
rhythm.
Shakespeare.
That's right. And the rhythm is a heartbeat. It's de-dum, 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 de-dum. It's rhythm. And what's even more interesting is that there have been a study a few years back. There was a study that showed that audiences, when they watch a play, not even Shakespeare, any play, audiences all of their heartbeats will start to beat in sync, right? And so there's something to breath, heartbeat, rhythm, empathy, that circular thing that you get in a live performance, in a room with people. So
I just don't know how you can do that. It's like trying to direct an orchestra.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of organic, right? It just kind of happens, man. Like, I tell young actors this, like, you just got to get out of the way. You just got to let it happen, and not try to muscle it, just let it happen. Be open.
Do you think that this could possibly work for Marines?
Doubtful.
I run a program called The Breach, and I've had some Marines. I don't know if you know some of the guys that Lieutenant Colonel Smedley was in The Breach with me. Some really, it works for Devil Dogs too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just shared with us this technique, which I do remember you showing that slideshow. I was wondering where the hell I saw it. Okay, so it was at your shop.
Yeah.
How did you acquire your audience? Do you go to the VA and just recruit? What do you do?
I'm like harassing dudes. It's a lot of like me, going out in the community and being like, hey brother, just want to come do some Shakespeare, It's funny. I lure people with, coffee and all kinds of, whatever I can to get them in the room.
Crayons.
Yeah. Right. But, whatever it takes, I'll get them in the room,
Free food does help.
Yeah.
Oh, hell
Free
yeah.
food helps. Coffee helps. And there are a lot of people that there are a lot of vets that kind of, they're like, yeah, I've always wanted to, I used to act in high school and, I'll do this, and they, because I mean, shit, the Band of Brothers speech is one of the most, we happy few, we band of brothers, right? That we all, that's our jam, as vets.
Yeah, we talk about that in the Pacific, those series. Yeah. I own one of them, and the other one Pat turned me on to. I haven't finished it yet. Okay, so on this Riverside Actors, do you have vets are involved in that?
Yeah, so it's myself. It's a theater company that I started, and I do that work. It's all again for trauma, right? So it's working with veterans predominantly, but also any group that is at risk. I made quotation marks there. People that have experienced trauma, first responders, healthcare providers. I mean, again, veterans don't have a lock on trauma. So using those techniques with those groups and then telling stories, the other part of that, the other aspect of that, Death of Kings is kind of the flagship show. It's me using my story saying, hey, this is me. You're not alone. Yeah, I went through that, and look, I'm doing okay, so yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, and I don't remember the name of the show, the Christmas show that you did.
All is Calm.
All is Calm.
Yeah.
That was based on the, I watched the movie.
It's the truce of 1914. It was in World War One. They, the Germans and the English troops for Christmas all just decided, you know what, we're not going to kill each other today. And got up out of their trenches and had a big party in no man's land, and then crawled back in the trench the next day, and war kept on going. But
that was crazy.
But yeah. But really powerful show, told through music predominantly. And again, it was telling that I love kind of exploring. Watching Band of Brothers, those jump commands they give in Band of Brothers are the exact same jump commands that I learned at Fort Bragg. I love telling the story of an old time, World War One, and seeing the similarities, because it doesn't change. It doesn't change. It sucks being in the mud, whether it's 1914 or it's 2025. The mud sucks.
Stephen King says in his book On Writing, when he's asked, where do you get these crazy ideas?
Yeah.
And he goes, I have no effing idea.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask you.
Yeah.
I've watched 2 of your shows that I'm aware of. I saw the 2 that I am aware of.
Yeah.
Are you just wired that way? Where do you come up with this stuff?
I mean, I think I'm just kind of, I got ADHD.
Okay. I was going to ask you that.
So I'm constantly, my wife, I drive my wife nuts because I'm constantly, tinkering and I'm on to the next thing. And I'm, being active helps also, right? It helps me with, the struggles that I have is trying to make a difference and trying to, I believe in service. I believe that, the highest thing that you can do for a person is serve them. And like,
Amen.
we're all called to serve, I think. And so, whether it be, in the service or out, I mean, I like to serve, and I want to make a difference. I want to leave this place better than I found it.
Good answer. Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
We can identify, especially
Yeah.
ADHD.
Yeah.
But the All Is Calm, the cast that was in that, are any of them, what do I say? Did they receive tutelage from you in this PTSD?
Yeah.
I don't want to put their cast on the spot, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no. So that cast, none of them were veterans. Not a single one. One guy actually works on camp. He's a civilian, Department of Army civilian employee, but did never serve. So I had to explain to them. I had to kind of get them to understand what the underlying subtext is, right? Like what was going on here, when they're in their chow line or they're, what all that is. And it was cool. I mean, I think it was, again, me kind of connecting those two different communities, because predominantly all those people in that show were like opera singers.
Oh, they were amazing.
Phenomenal singers.
They were amazing.
And they had no idea, and they had never been in this. And so they didn't understand, like, they were kind of like, well, why wouldn't they just get out of the trench? Well, you die.
Yeah.
So, getting them to understand, that, and I think it gave them an appreciation for what that we experience.
Okay, so these, if your cast doesn't qualify for this question, at-risk people that you've dealt with, both vets and civilians, have you helped them to do any theater at all, other than just the techniques, the Shakespeare, the breathing? I love that, and I remember, I got to get back into that. So, have you taken them to the next level and actually got them involved in a stage production?
There's several actors that I work with. I work with Barry Clifton, who is a former Marine, or he's a Marine. Never former. I caught myself.
You did good.
Barry Clifton, Marine. Another guy, Jason, that is a Navy guy. They're both professional actors, and we work together all the time. But they're very passionate about this work as well. I mean, it's interesting. Some guys, they're like, they just want to do the program and then they're good. But other guys are like, and women are like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, for real.
Can you, I wouldn't ask you to give me any names, but can you give me an example of somebody you actually watch grow from, PTS can take people to very dark places. Can you share a success story with a man or a woman that you were introduced to, ran them through your techniques, and where they're at now?
Man, so at the Breach, for the last 2 years, I've been doing the Breach at the Arkansas Repertory Theater. And we had a cohort of veterans and family members, right? Because family members serve too. And also family members oftentimes don't have access to a lot of the resources that we as vets do. So I had in my first cohort, and it was just kind of pure luck, but I had some people that really needed help, needed somebody to kind of hold their hand. And I don't mean that in like a condescending way at all.
I get it. We're there.
Just kind of pick you up out of the hole, kind of thing. And I had some participants that would struggle to like even introduce themselves, because one of the things that we do, we sit around, we call it the circle of trust. We enter the room. There's a kind of looks like an AA meeting or something. There's a circle of chairs, and we sit down. Yeah, and we sit down, and we say, and I say, hey, and I start the circle every morning or every afternoon, and I say, hi, my name's Ben, and I'm whatever I am, and whatever I feel. I'm frustrated. I'm excited to be here. I'm whatever. Because, how often do you get a chance to just kind of say, where am I right now? Like, how do I feel? So we do that when we come in the room. We kind of acknowledge where we are. And then we end the session with, hi, I'm Ben, and I'm this. So that we close the circle. We open the circle and we close the circle every time. And I had some participants that could barely do that. I mean, really, really couldn't get it out. You know, they were in pretty bad crisis. Fast forward to 8 weeks, they're on a stage in front of 300 people telling their story. Because that's the culminating event of this thing. It's the crucible, if you will, where they come out after 8 weeks and they share a story to an audience, just like Death of Kings, with a slideshow and all that. It's a little condensed Death of Kings.
Wow, you have no idea how glad I am to hear that, and that's going to take me down a road with you right now. Okay, so we're going to go forward and go back. So you're leaving us, and we're going to talk about that next. But who is going to do that here once you leave?
Man, I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful and optimistic. So where I'm going is only about 4.5 hours away. It's an easy drive. I'm hopeful that I can continue to do this work in both locations. And I have some people that I think would be good candidates, and I've just got to convince them that they are.
Yeah.
You know, but I do. I mean, it's important work, you know, and I don't want to see it die off here.
No.
You know.
No, and I'll tell you why from our perspective. So we're in previous shows, we don't hide from it. Pat and I especially are, as we've shared with you before, we're recovering addicts, alcoholics, right? So we work with a lot of men. So, and this, I was thinking about this earlier with you, and because I could see that you're not. You're when I say you're not one of us, you're not an alcoholic, but you are one of us, and you share a lot of the PTS because we all have that, you know, in common. Yeah. So, because I was going to ask you earlier, and then I thought, in fact, I scratched my list. Not even worth asking. But now I want to make the point that when people get out with the challenges that we have, a lot of us turn to illicit behavior, right?
That's right.
RedBeard didn't. We're tight because we both believe in outreach. Yeah. But and he's one of our, I don't know, honorary tribal members. But most of us are illicit, former illicit users. Yeah. But we always say stuff like, "Where do guys go that have PTS but are not illicit users?" That's right. I didn't hear this before. Yeah. So I want to be a big mouth on it and make sure we give a big shout out on the show to it. But so that and RedBeard says he's already got your information. So we're really going to give that some serious shameless plugs. So if you do have it, but your website will say what's going on.
That's right. Yeah. If you go to riversidetheater.org, riversideactorstheatre.org,
riversideactorstheatre.org.
And please do put that link in the description.
Yes.
But yeah, if you go to that, that's got my newsletter and everything that I'm doing. And like I said, I'm like looking at the calendar and trying to identify days where I can come back and do work here. Because I've kind of built a community here, and I've got a cohort of people that have done this, and I just hate to see it die on the vine.
Yeah, no, that's bad juju.
So you know, even if it's a condensed version, you know, and it's not at the rep, and we're not doing this big fancy thing. The work is about what happens in the room, not what happens on the stage. Right. It was hard for me to get the rep to understand that sometimes. You know, I was like, I don't really care how many tickets you sell. Right. But yeah, the work is actually in the room, us talking. And I mean, honestly, man, you know this better. You know, it's we'll talk. Go ahead.
It's the people.
Yeah, it's the people. Exactly. It's the people. And like we would. So what the kind of not cookie cutter, but the format is this: we enter the room, we open the circle. I pull up a Shakespeare monologue, Band of Brothers speech, whatever it is, Hamlet, to be or not to be, and we read it. And then I go, all right, what do you guys think? You know, we kind of talk about it. And then every week we use the Army values, and we'll talk about loyalty. And I'll say, well, our value today is loyalty, you know, and we'll kind of spin on that. We'll use the monologue. Usually the monologue's linked with loyalty or duty or selfless service, whatever. And we'll spin on that value and that will drive conversations. And it'll be like, yeah, man, I had that one platoon leader, man, he wasn't very loyal, you know, the most loyal person I ever met was, Staff Sergeant, whoever, and he was a badass, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That is very cool. All right, so I'm sure you are, but I'm not sure you are. So Pat and I have gone to the VA and met with recovering alcoholics addicts. That's in a particular ward, but they have other wards for folks that are PTSD, and I think it's 2K. I'm not sure. I could be correct on no shame there, but they're not illicit users. I don't think it's 2K. It might be another one. I'm not even sure. Do you meet with those folks at all at the VA?
I tried when I first was getting this off the ground. I had a regular meeting at the vet center down there in Little Rock. Yeah, and I was working with Heather Murrow, who's no longer there. But and I got it was just hard to get people to come back. It was hard to get people to because it was do it once a month, and it was just hard to get people to kind of commit to it. I learned a lot doing that. I learned, okay, this needs to be more frequent. And I learned, there needs to be a little bit more structure to it.
Okay.
So I would like to set up a residency in a VA. I'm going to explore that in Kentucky because, that's, meet people where they are. Right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, if they could franchise that, it's no secret to anybody in this room, but all I need is a new pill. and a lot of us are like, hey, we don't want the pills.
Don't need any more pills, man.
We have a history of that. We need something else. And that actually leads me to another question. So, we say this program is a spiritual program.
Yeah.
Our podcast is a spiritual program.
Yeah.
Where do you stand with the realm of spirituality, religion, higher power? What's your jam on that?
Yeah, I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in a higher power. I'm very fallible. I'm not the best practitioner, but yeah, no, I'm convinced that there's a higher power guiding me.
Right on.
And one of the things that I do. Practice that I do every morning is I wake up and I start a journal. Kind of helps me get everything in order, right? Because again, ADHD, I can start to spiral and, I'm on this thing and then I'm on this thing and I gotta go, so having a list, having a checklist is good for me. But I start every morning with 3 things of gratitude. So what I'm grateful for. And then right below that are my prayers. And I write 3 prayers, and then I do my long-term goals, my short-term goals, and my to-do list. And if everything's working and I'm jamming and I'm in, everything's in sync, ideally that's all nested, to use the Army phrase. My to-do list is feeding my short-term goals, answering those short-term goals, which are answering my long-term goals, which are answering my prayers, which are making me grateful. So all of that.
Wow, full circle.
Yeah, If it's jamming and all the cylinders are firing, which they're not always.
Yeah.
That should be locked in.
Okay, so we use the word toolbox on the show, and so when I hear toolbox, let me see if I can mirror this back to you. So, you wake up in the morning, and if you're like some of us here, man, we got to have our Dr. Pepper or coffee to start our day, or nicotine, whatever, and then before we meet the world, and that includes meeting the family. Yeah. I got to sit down and I write out, 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I'm going to meditate on those. I'm just going to focus on those and just try to get grounded with them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write out 3 prayers. What I heard you say 3 prayers, but tell me again what that looks like.
There are 3, things that that are on my heart, right? Lately, it's been about my family. It's been about the kids adjusting to the move. It's been about our relationship because right now I'm staying in an Airbnb in Kentucky and they're in Little Rock, and my wife's doing a lot of hard work, getting the house ready and getting all the stuff ready for the move. So a lot of it is about praying for strength for her and strength for us and all of that. But it can also be, if you look at the news, praying about, current happenings in the Middle East right now, right? So it's just, it can be anything,
Right.
really. It's just whatever's kind of on my heart.
You're opening yourself up for that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
you're connecting with the higher power of your understanding. Hey, this is what I feel I'm grateful for. Now, as
Yeah.
far as prayer goes, lead me in the direction you want me to pray. Oh, I like that. And then finally, you said you have like your checklist with
Yeah.
your short-term goals and that feed into your long-term. So, and that could be, again, that's fluid, right? Based
It
on
is. I mean, long term, they don't change too much. But they're on a 5 to 10 year horizon is my long term goals typically. Though sometimes, long term will happen like that. For the longest time, I wrote, I want to have a artistic position be full time. I want to be, because when I worked before I got this current job that I'm in now, I was not in an artistic world. I was doing all these other jobs. I was doing Riverside Actors Theatre, and I was acting and teaching and all this stuff, but it wasn't my full-time job. And so I want to have a full-time artistic career, and that just happened when I got hired to this job. So scratch that off and try to find another long-term goal, I guess.
No, good copy on that. I want to actually, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
So, because we had chatted about that, about what my wife ran into at Chang, and shameless plug, Chang, Sherwood, fantastic Thai food.
Delicious.
You will not be disappointed.
Delicious.
PK runs that. Tell PK the old rucker said that he rocks or whatever. You won't get a discount because the food is already affordable.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but she told me, she came home and said, hey, that fellow you want to do the show with is leaving us. I was like, what? And so that led us to, running into each other and making this happen. I asked you already if you would share that with us, because I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit bummed you're leaving after we got to meet here and stuff, but still, I think you're going to be good for the community where you're going. But why don't you just share with us what that prayer is that was answered and what you're going to be doing?
Yeah. So I was just recently hired about, I guess, 2-3 months ago. I was hired as the managing artistic director of a theater called Market House Theater in Paducah, Kentucky. I had never heard of Paducah, Kentucky. I just saw it on the website on a email that I subscribed to, and it was kind of a headhunter kind of thing. And I thought, well, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and nothing will come of it. And I got an email that okay, interview, and then another interview, and then another interview, and then they're like, okay, we want to fly you out here, and had a 3-day interview with them, and it's an amazing company. It's bizarre. They have like 11 spaces, buildings that they own. They have a main stage theater. They have a black box theater. They have this huge, robust education program. They have a staff of like 20 people. They produce year round. It's a dream come true. And
Your title?
my title is managing artistic director. So I'm the head honcho there.
These 20 folks you just mentioned, they'll work with you.
report to me. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, and again, I'm gonna ask you this because I think it's a rhetorical question, but you're a combat vet. Okay.
Yep.
Kudos, because that means a lot to me and Pat and RedBeard, but you also are a major, right? So you have gone through tons of, as an 04, probably 04 promotable, you have gone through tons of leadership training.
Yeah.
You're taking that with you,
Yeah.
with your stage skill set. Dude, you are a perfect fit.
Yeah. I mean, it is that. I think it helped in my hiring, right? So they asked a lot about my Army training. They asked about that, and said, how's that going to influence? And I was like, well, in the Army we talk about lines of effort, because this theater has all these things going on, and the hardest thing is deconflicting it all. And so I was like, it's lines of effort, right? So you've got an education line, you've got your main stage line, you've got all these different things, and you've got to lay those down on a calendar and figure out where's the friction points and how do we deconflict this stuff, And I think it helped.
This sounds like a wonderful match. They needed somebody like you, and you wanted something like this.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Okay. Was that thunder?
I know, I bumped the mic. That was me.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
because my
yeah.
dog didn't jump. And everybody knows that when there's thunder, he will be in your lap. 80 pounds right there,
Yeah.
boom. As you can see, he's an elderly dog. He's just relaxing, enjoying our company.
Chilling.
All right, thoughts, guys? Okay, let's go, like I mentioned to you earlier, like a little, I do want to, before I flick the booger to you, our toolbox here is, I really like that. So, audience, I'm going to actually write something out, or I'm not asking you to, but if you did it, it would be more succinct because I want to put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Under our toolbox, everybody, we ask for a toolbox, right?
Absolutely.
So we got 3 things of gratitude that come to your heart, 3 things that you pray for, and you're keeping it succinct. I like that, so you don't have this ADHD, 25,000 list here, and then your lines of effort get all skewed. Okay, and then finally, you're looking at your short-term goals leading into your long-term goals. I've heard the saying, plans change, decisions don't.
That's right.
You know what you want to do in life, but the road to get there, based on our relationship with our higher power, may actually change.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything from you guys in? Okay.
Do you do any type of journaling, like specific type, like bullet journaling, or
that gratitude journal, or that journaling? That's what I do every morning. I will sometimes free flow, and which also looks like kind of whiteboard, right? Yeah. So I'm like drawing squigglies and all kinds of stuff. That's how I plan. I love me a whiteboard, man.
Me too. I've got multiple.
Yeah. And so I'll do that in my journal from time to time, but that's more me kind of brain flow, kind of trying to figure a problem out. But yeah, my day to day is that gratitude and leading into goals and to-do lists. Yeah.
I'm a hobby writer, so I wear out the whiteboard. I had a huge one in the hallway.
Yeah.
And, but I had these little ones that I'm always using. And Shannon was like, that's got to go. So we gave it to a Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
They did a show with us last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember now. And so I said, hey, can you guys use this out there for the kids? And they're like, gone. I was like, oh. I actually wept when they took it, but my wife was glad. All right, so this is the part of the show we do, the free flow top of the dome, because there's so many things that I could have asked you, probably should have asked you, but I did the same. I did this every show. I do this. I'm like, hey, God, help me get this message out that will be good to the guests, so I can show my guests dignity and respect, but also that we can glom some stuff that will help the listening audience. So I got what was given to me. But what might be on your mind that you would want to leave the listening audience with? Yeah,
we talked about why. I mean, because the question that I get asked all the time is why Shakespeare, and why does Shakespeare work? And so there are several things that work going on with Shakespeare. First of all, it's the rhythm, it's the heartbeat, the de-dum, de-dum, de-dum. We as human beings respond to rhythm. Because our body is rhythmic, right? Our body is in a rhythm, and we talked about heartbeats coming together. The other part of it is the language. The language, even though you may not know, you may only know 3 of the words in a line. Shakespeare, but the way that the thing is written, right? So if the great thing, Shakespeare is so daggum smart that like. If a character's supposed to be whispering, there'll be a bunch of S's and F's, and it will just naturally, if you read it, the syllables, the word choices that he's using will lead you down into this like whisper. Same with if a person's angry and it's a bunch of K's and P's and plosives and very aggressive sounds, and so. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to be, a scholar to get it. It will just kind of work. And what's just, again, cool is it works on our subconscious. We don't even realize it. And the more we step away and stop trying to muscle it and trying to do something and fix it, and, make it better, the better it works. The more we just let the words do it. Just let the rhythm, let the breath, let the words just be. And I mean, I just love that because I think that's a lesson in life, man. The more, oftentimes the more we try to fix things and the more we try to muscle through something, the more we screw it up, man.
Yeah. Wow. What a great note to end on. I'm going to guess that you're going to be obviously you're going to be busy getting your feet planted in your, the next chapter of your life. But I will tell you this, once you get settled, if you want to bring some of that back over here, I can't speak for any of the tribe. I mean, I'll put the word out to them. Yeah. I see Pat over here nodding his head, but we, and maybe even RedBeard, we can hold hands and go over there and just be.
Dude, you're always welcome. Yeah, I mean, I would love it.
I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Very. You've got me very interested. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anything else, guys?
I'm nerding out in my head. I've seen some of the practices with the patterns. Yeah. And we hooked up EEGs and then put people on pressure. To increase those levels of stress. Right. And then had them do the breathing exercises and watch that normalize.
Watch everything come down. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
Really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I say this in the show too. What's interesting about, I've jumped out of planes, and jumping out of planes is scary, right? It's really, really, really scary.
But it's a rush, baby.
Oh, yeah. But that first jump, man, you're just like, oh my God. And your heart is beating out of your chest. Yep. And that is the closest analog that I can use for going out on stage, right? Like people, the number one fear that people have is public speaking, right? So getting out in front of people, it's like jumping out of a plane or stepping off in combat. It feels like life or death. You are going it feels like you're gonna die. And what gets you through that? Trust and knowing that the people next to you and what you've learned, are going to be okay. I trust that the person that packed the chute did a good job, right? I know that I trust that this circle that I just spent 8 weeks with has got my back.
And the brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. I like to collect quotes and then I take credit for it. Do you have any favorite quotes? I mean, even if they're Ben Grimes quotes, do you have any favorite quotes?
I just heard one recently, and it's been like a mantra in my head. Change equals opportunity. I love that quote. I think it's so great. And then I'll give you another one that I really love. It's by Bertolt Brecht, he was a theater practitioner in Germany. And he says, he has a quote saying, it's in a play. It says, during the dark times, will there be singing? And then the answer is, yes, there will be singing about the dark times.
Oh,
I love that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of deep.
It's deep. Yeah. It's deep.
I'm not even stoned and I get it.
Remember, you got a Marine in there. It's going to take me a while to.
And what's funny is that, we do that Marine joke and stuff. This guy has got one of the greatest memories of anybody I know. He can remember trips that we've gone on, and he tells me he knows stats and facts. And he met my dad. My dad went to school to be in New York. My parents are still in New York.
Oh, nice.
He went to school to be a broadcaster. He's got the sports room. Oh, wow. And just the gem that these guys carried on. I'm like, I don't get it. I'm not a sports guy, My dad's got this $1 million sports room, and he's like, wow. I'm going to leave it all to you. I'm like, sell it. Dad, I'm not into sports. None of the boys are into sports. And so he sold, I think just 2 cards. It might have been 3, a Michael Jordan rookie card and a Babe Ruth card.
Wow.
He took Mom to the Holy Land for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know they were worth that much. Stop. Cease and desist.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. From you, Ben, any closing thoughts or words of encouragement for new folks or folks that are already on their recovery journey?
Yeah. I think it's about one foot in front of the other, right? I think everything, the monster is always seems like it's bigger than it really is. And it's that taking that step then the next step. It's how you get through a hard ruck march or anything like that, right? It's just one step after the other. It's get to that next telephone pole. And if if it doesn't work that day, what do? You just start over again. You just get up and you do it again. That's I think the best I can get.
Good words, man. I got a visual of the stork or whatever it was holding the frog, and the stork's swallowing the frog, and the frog's got his hands around the stork's neck, and he says, "Never surrender, never give up."
That's right. That's right. I love it.
All right, guys. Anything else?
No, but I love how in the beginning of this conversation you had essentially mentioned that for PTS is having mission, purpose, and community. I think it really all comes down to that, and it kept reminding me about that documentary Korengal. It's kind of very reminiscent, but it was all about finding your community and having a mission in your life and a purpose.
That's right. Yeah.
I see this doing the same thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of us, when we get out, we lose that. We lose that community. We lose that purpose, right? Because we all, when we're wearing that uniform, it's like very clear what our purpose is, right? Very clear what our community is, and when you take off, all the lickies and stickies and all the stuff that people go, oh yeah, because we can look at each other and be like, okay, I know exactly where that dude's been, he's got a tab, he's got this, that. We don't have that. And so now we got to go out kind of naked.
Yeah.
And so finding that, and I really love what you're doing here, because I think that you're creating that. You're creating that community. You're creating that band of brothers. And you have that service mindset, and that's so important.
Yeah. I without question, it maybe not has saved my life, but it has saved my sanity.
Yeah.
Pat and I spent a lot of time together. The other guys that aren't here today, I could have a whole room full of I could have had a whole room of listening audience. Just the friendship that I built with RedBeard, it goes back a lot of years. If I didn't have men like that in my life that just, we're just honest with each other, and we have real, hurts, habits, hang-ups. We have challenges, we have concerns and fears, but then we're able to look at each other and just go, hey, ruck up, man.
Yeah.
Get your kid on and go. You ain't got time to wallow in this crap. But it's okay to be on the pity pot. It's just not okay to stay there.
Right.
And there's times when I've just got to let it out.
Yeah.
And who am I going to let it out with other than a band of brother, So I'm not going to let it out to a stranger. I'm not comfortable with a shrink or a therapist.
Right.
I've gone to tons of them, but they have never done as much for me as my brothers have.
Yeah.
Because we may not be in combat, but we are in a fight for our lives, because if we pick up an illicit, we're done. And we've been to a lot of funerals from brothers that just went back out. And it's a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
So we continue to encourage each other. Iron sharpens iron. If one of the tribe members needs us, there's no question. Well, I don't know. Let me look at my calendar. It's like, drop what you're doing. We're gone. You never leave a brother behind, right?
That's great. Yeah.
All right. Pat, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm still going through everything, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think it gives another avenue for veterans doing what you're doing. And like you said, that purpose, I lost my purpose for a long time.
Right.
And to find something that gets me back going, that's, like I said, just another avenue. So kudos on you. I'm glad I stayed in Little Rock.
I'm glad you're here too, man. Yeah. I'm honored, man.
Great to meet you, man.
Great to meet you, brother.
Keep on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, what the audience doesn't know is you guys do know that Pat's a diehard Hogs fan. He turned down going to Omaha to watch the Hogs play to be here with Ben today and RedBeard and I.
It's a big effing deal, y'all. Right?
And my wife, I think she's going to want to wait until we're together, Pat, because she wants to chew me out in front of you.
There's no need. It'd been something if you can't pull it up on the TV. But this work right here is more important. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And sports is a big deal. But I've found that this is bigger.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Ben, you're one of those guys that I think I can honestly and sincerely say this. When you meet Bob, you meet a friend for life. You ever need anything, holler.
All right, man.
You're an honorary member of the tribe.
All right. Thank you.
You're
Thank
good,
you,
man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it. I'll ramble on for hours about this stuff because it's what I do and it's what I'm passionate about.
So you say that. Is there a sequel in the making, RedBeard? Careful there, because we sometimes we just have table chats.
Yeah,
we used to call them something else, but one of the tribe members busted me out. We can't call it that anymore. I don't even want to say what it is because I don't want to offend anybody out there. But we do table chats where we'll just throw topics out.
Yeah,
and if honestly, if you're going to be in town, just because we do shows regularly.
Okay.
And Brainiac over here, RedBeard, has created a program that's going to be able to kick these things out faster.
Sweet.
And once he trademarks that or whatever he does with it, I'm going to be able to say I knew him when. So you are sincerely looking at one of the smartest guys on the planet. It's just amazing. So I'm blessed to have him as my partner. So I'm persistent, dude. I bought that equipment. He has to use it because I don't know how.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, folks, that's it. We thank you for listening, and please share our show with folks that could use some encouragement and extra tools for the recovery journey. Remember, you are not alone, and if no one's told you that they love you today, we love you. So God bless you and have an outstanding American day. This is the Old Rucker. Peace out.